I'm Trek with 2Ks. Buenos tardes, GnGs. My name is Trek with 2Ks, and I'm going to say I did better today. I did better. I got a couple minutes in before 9, and on top of that, I hit the microphone mute button on the right timeline. Okay. What else? What else? It's been a weekend, and so, yeah. Give me a minute. You know, it's always a one-person show. So I'm over here trying to make a post, send a message, put something in the comments. My mom's just text me. So yeah, it's it's things. But other than that, I do hope everybody's doing good. And we're gonna get into some things. I'm flat out telling you, if you see this stream later on, the title's clickbait. It even say clickbait. So if you still clicked it, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you because it literally says clickbait. Um, and so yeah, you know, Hester Pierce was at the 8th annual Black Blockchain Summit at Howard University on Saturday, and it was interesting. It was interesting. I'm gonna get into a couple of those things as we go on into the show. And so if you don't know, my name is Shrek with 2Ks. I do this no face channel thing pretty much now where I go through Twitter and I just, pick up on things that scratch my brain and then I'll talk about it on Monday. And some of the things might make sense to some people. Some of the things not going to make sense to some people. I don't do price talk. So, it is what it is. And I also realized that I probably should do some more things to work on my channel because I have my actual own channel that is Trek with 2Ks Live. But I'll be over here on the Gentleman of Crypto side because this is pretty much where I was building most of the traction for before I actually put my actual channel together. But what I actually started doing too was I started pumping out some of the shorts on my actual channel. And I'm literally just like being lazy about it. I'm over here just letting the AI set up and Restream pick the clips out and like do the naming and stuff. I'm not even like actually changing out or excuse me, um curating the titles that it chooses. Literally, this is all an experiment. I'm testing out the blue check over on the Twitter side, and I'm testing out the AI stuff and seeing how that works out. And gotten back a little bit into the LinkedIn side writing stuff as far as like what my takeaways are from the live recordings. And so far I've had a couple of takeaways, and we'll see how this progresses as far as me getting back into writing on LinkedIn. I got a short recap joint for tomorrow that'll post out in the morning. But so all right, let me get into in regards to the show stuff itself. I got a couple things that kind of caught my attention, and I will interweave that in with some of my takeaways from the Black Blockchain Summit. First, I will say though, shout outs to Sinclair, Pascal, and the rest of the team. It is definitely a big endeavor to put something on like that. I've tried my hand at smaller events, and like you definitely have to have the team with you when you are trying to do something on that scale, let alone when you are trying to make it something that is a multiple year event. And this is the 8th year for the Black Blockchain Summit. And one of the things I was saying to some of the other heads that I was talking to, some of the OG, veteran folks that I was talking to, is like, yo, like things is moving up. Because last year it was one day on the main campus, right? Versus the previous years where we were over at the other building, that's like the satellite building, on what is that, Georgia Street. So then now it's both days in the main campus, across the lawn, and I was actually surprised, folks. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was surprised. And this is like, all right, things are moving up. It's a progression. What did they say? Rome wasn't built in a night. And so the same thing goes to this. Like, Afrotech wasn't built just in 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Afrotech wasn't even built in like 2 years, 3 years. It took a minute to get the traction. Um, and then the other point that the Black Blockchain Summit is moving up the value chain for Howard, which also puts Howard in a better position. Because, love him or hate him, Cory Booker showed up last year. What's his name from Galaxy with the lunar tattoo showed up last year. This year, I was surprised Hester Pierce actually showed in person. Now, to the title, I'm going to tell y'all to the title. There was no tea spilt. There was no tea spilt. One, because the person who was supposed to interview her didn't get to interview her. I think the universe was like, nah, we got to push this off for another time. But shout outs to my lady and friend out there on the West Coast who is out there just like, she doing a lot and doing some things that I'm like, wow, man, like you really on the grind in multiple aspects. Naja Roberts, if you know about her and like the Bitcoin tour that her and CJ and a couple other folks did, they didn't do one this year, but like she is definitely out there working, and arguably the work kind of got up with her. I hope she's feeling better. So she didn't get to do the interview as a point. And the other thing to note is that there was no tea in that you had the DC commissioner for insurance and investment who she I'm in my opinion, I'm gonna say this is in my opinion, she was not the best person to interview Hester Pierce. Because to me, and if you're somebody who has been around in the space for a while, and just for like the optics of it, it's like you have a commissioner interviewing a commissioner, and like with the audience, and this is a mixture of audience in terms of you have folks who are literally, hey, this is my first time coming to this event, and I was just curious, or like, oh, I heard of the Bitcoin thing, but I didn't hear about it until after I learned about Solana, or like I don't have a wallet yet. Like, that's the kind of audience it is, right? So like, to have this thing where you have, in my mind, a commissioner talking to a commissioner, like a DC level commissioner talking to a federal level commissioner, what are you really going to get out of that when you also combine that the questions were scrubbed by Hester Pierce's team? So, and now this puts a lot of the stuff that she says to me. This is literally just my little old brain, okay? I don't want nobody to be like, oh, Trek with 2K, is that my little old brain? It is what it is. In that, how do you have an honest conversation around a topic when someone says everything that's being said is my personal opinion and does not reflect my position in relation to the role that I have as my day job, or my association and stuff like that. But the questions that are asked get cleared by the day job. Make that make sense, folks. Make that make sense. You can't speak as a representative of the day job, but the day job gets to curate the questions. How does that make any type of sense of a real conversation? That's just my thought, my takeaway. Again, I'm just some random guy on the internet, right? I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lawyer. Um, I'm not none of those things for X amount of the folks who were in the room, right? And yeah, at a certain point, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like, I just got up and walked out because it was like, all right, well, I know the background stuff. This is kind of a waste of my time to listen to her talk. And yeah, it was a waste of my time. I'm not saying it was a waste of everybody else's time. It was just a matter of, because I know what I know and understand how the background stuff worked out, why am I listening to you just talk platitudes that aren't really of anything? You know, that's just my take on it. That is literally just my take on it. But somebody else might listen to the restream of it, because it's on the Black Blockchain's channel, and you know, they might find something interesting or something that they feel is like, oh, this is a nugget. If that's your take, that's your take. Cool. You know, it is what it is. I can't tell you to not understand it that way. I just know why I don't understand it that way, you know? Also, shout outs to Reggie Middleton, because he was out there. Yo, Reggie is hilarious. Shout outs to Justin. Oh man, what is Justin's company? I can't remember what his company's name is right now. But Justin does he's a big proponent of like prison reform and like recidivism advocate. And so like him and CJ, on a side note, and full disclosure, CJ the smart guy is my actual CPA. Y'all have heard me talk about him before if you paid any attention to some of the stuff that I've said over the past. More than a year back, earlier this year, I've mentioned CJ a number of times. And so him and CJ got together, and they're doing this thing where they're teaching inmates how to actually gain the technical skills to be able to set up like mining facilities. And I'm talking like crypto related mining facilities. So they're learning about electricity, they're learning about hash rate, they're learning about the difference between the miners, they're learning about the consensus mechanisms. And the idea is that for those who get out and are looking to work on the straight and narrow with things, and this will increase their options to be able to get into a more secure job position, which hopefully in the long run betters their life to a whole different degree. And if you know anything about Justin, man, Justin's story is inspirational. It's a turnaround. It's a like a shining example of how like you could have been one of those kids that got caught up in the system back in the day and, you know, been doing some real knucklehead things. And if you really want to change your situation and the right opportunity presents itself, or you really determined with the luck of the right opportunity present itself, you can definitely do it. And that man right there has done it and is doing it and is trying to pass it on to other folks. Key part, he's working to pass it on to other folks and like helping other folks get out of that system and make a better life for themselves. So shout outs to them two folks. And then Reggie, I said, is a funny dude because like Justin was interviewing him. He got off like one question. Next thing you know, he down in front of the audience talking about, because basically he was trying to explain some stuff about how he's looking at Bitcoin and what he's trying to do as far as like how he sees the space moving forward. And of course, they get into the whole audience question stuff. And what happens? The first person is like, yeah, this is my first time at the event. And like, I kind of understand that Bitcoin is a thing, but I don't really get like how all of this stuff works. What does he do? He turns the whole thing into like a 5 or near 10-minute teaching moment and then works it up to where he wraps it up to talk about smart metal. And remember, I was showing y'all last week a post that he had did where he was doing the NFT aspect with the smart metal, and then he was doing it on base. And I was like, yo, well, why would you choose base? What's going on with that? And so I asked him, as when I seen him, and he was like, well, it's cheaper and it's faster, or as fast as, like, I think it's as fast as Solana, but it's cheaper on the transaction fee side than Ethereum. So I was like, okay, I like on those aspects, considering what you're trying to do, that makes sense, right? Now, granted, there's the questions around how base has some control factors in it, but I guess we'll see how things evolve. What I'm really waiting to see is when he adds in the agent capabilities into the smart metal and what he's looking to do with it. But yeah, those were just a couple of the things from, what was that, Saturday? No, that was Saturday because it started on Friday. And so yeah, but let's jump into some posts right now. I don't got too many. Where we at? There we go. All right. So all right. I question this. So it says Trump is pushing Bitcoin to save America. Mining is the key. I already done told y'all I'm very anti on this whole nationalism narrative push into the crypto space. I'm not a fan of it because if we agree or if we understand that this technology is supposed to be decentralized, it's supposed to be something that allows everyone to get part in accessing, controlling, developing their economic sovereignty and like their financial freedom, then this idea behind pushing in nationalism, it counters that, because my national identity shouldn't matter. My government's position shouldn't matter. The technology works how the technology works. It is not dependent on your ethnic group. It is not dependent on your gender. It is not dependent on your age. It is not dependent on your nation. Like, that's the part that's killing me right now. And I'm definitely going to push this issue next year. What's going on? What's going on, Pothead? I'm pushing this as an issue next year to be talked about more in the Black Blockchain Summit. And like, I'm gonna have to start working on getting out into more conversations, because I don't think it's being addressed as, hey, like, yes, there is adoption, but you don't need to push nationalism in order to have adoption. That, like, there, in the beginning, when we were talking about pushing Ethereum and pushing is it Whitecoin? Oh man, I can't even remember the name of the other one. But like Ethereum and Bitcoin in the beginning, like no one was like, oh yeah, we need to push this because America. No one was like, oh yeah, we need to push this because, like Britain. Like, in my mind, it is a very dangerous and slippery slope. And if we look at anything that shows the intention and pattern of behavior of when you start throwing in the nationalism stuff, it doesn't help. It just makes more division. It just like stifles how the technology can develop, or whatever that product or industry is. Like, it just makes more issue. It doesn't help the growth, in my opinion. Again, I'm just some guy on the internet. You can disagree with me. Comments is always open and we don't delete. Right? So what was the other one? I know I don't play the stuff, but yeah. And so the other part on that too, thing about the mining is had another conversation with young lady, Ms. Aaron. It was good to meet you. Definitely gonna follow up with some of the things that we were talking about. But not a but. Her and a couple other people that I was talking with, the crypto mining at scale, the money ain't moving like how it used to. And it makes me wonder if this push or this if it actually comes to fruition of where the American government does actually implement Bitcoin as part of its reserve, what does that do for the miners? And when I say what does it do, I mean in terms of miners, especially miners here in the US, right? Like at the end of the day, is this another trajectory for the government to try to stick its hand in the crypto space as far as like, well, we need to start implementing policies that make it that there's more controls in how the blockchain or the consensus mechanism in proof of work works for hey, what's going on, man? What's up, Black Rule? Good to see you. Good to see you. I see you making the numbers and audience over there on Twitter. I when I have the time, I do be over there like peeping real quick. I'm like, oh, okay, I see you out there building a community, sir. I see. I definitely see it. Um, what was the other thing? What was I just saying? Yeah. So like we do that, but what do the other countries do? Like this this acceptance or this like um um joy, I almost want to say, around the US government accepting crypto or accepting Bitcoin in particular in some kind of like federal level situation or institution is like, is that really a good thing for the space? Because what? No, sir. I'm E. Mr. Baby. Oh, what's going on? My bad. Okay, I misunderstood that. Thank you for joining me, E. I appreciate. Um, so does this acceptance get us more on the reservation versus having this level of anonymity that we have, or this level of separation that we have from the government, and that like there's no head honcho for Bitcoin? If one day, what's the dude name? Paul Atkins turn around and be like, yeah, like that Ethereum thing, it gotta go. Like they just gonna reach out and touch the Ethereum Foundation, and they're gonna be looking at Vitalik like, hey, my man, turn it off. You can't do that on the Bitcoin side. It's X amount of more work to try to do that, right? Because the consensus mechanism works different, and there's no head person to like put the pressure on. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm kind of curious in how is that going to work if this actually comes to fruition, that the US Treasury does take, or is that the Federal Reserve? I forget which side of it is doing it, but like if it comes to a actual being a part of the reserve, is that going to be a good thing for the is that going to be a good thing for the American miners? How about that? In particular the American miners, because you're in the jurisdiction, and unless you was really obfuscating your, your IPs and stuff like that and doing certain other things, That's gonna be a rough one. And we already know that like the businesses that are at scale doing the Bitcoin mining, they're just gonna turn around and comply. And I swear I heard someone say something, it might have been Saturday or it might have been Friday, that with the way the data mining or the AI, the LLM like facilities are going that are being like built up all across the country, the crypto, like AKA data centers, aren't getting the same level of carte blanche from the counties in the states. And then the regulatory thing on them aren't as equal to what is going on with the actual AI data centers. So I'm kind of wondering, like, all right, mining is the key? Really? Is it crypto mining? Or are we talking about actual the other data center stuff? That's the new oil. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Um, it's I guess it's a wait and see. You know, midterms ain't too far off. And again, another comment out here by the new SEC chair, Paul Atkins, that says crypto is his number one priority right now. What does that mean? Does that mean we're going to work on regulation that is looking to push for a actual new business entity that will allow DAOs to function as they were intended to function? And I literally went in a whole thing about that on the panel I was on that was talking about DAOs. Even though it wasn't a part of the question, I felt like it needed to be addressed. Like, I'm going off on a tangent, letting y'all know. So we know that the technology works in regards to the tokens and the voting and the smart contracts and stuff for DAOs. We got that part down. We got more than 5 years of it. We know. We know that you can do things to build networks and communities, whether they be local to your zip code, within your county, within your state, across the nation, across the ocean. Like, again, going back to the original thing of this whole crypto cypherpunk mentality. Hey, my nation, my ethnic group, my age, none of that should matter because the technology works. Point blank, it works like it's supposed to, right? So I brought that up during my panel that had to do with DAOs and like building community and stuff. We need to really, if we're saying we really want DAOs to be a thing in the long run and they're sustainable, we need to start pushing wherever it is you are, because that's the bottom line of DAOs that are in operation right now. If they don't do anything that raffles, is that the word I'm looking for? Ruffles, there we go. Ruffles the traditional financial institutions or the government, because they're not at the size, the money volume isn't there. You know, the thing, not, I'm not gonna say the fly by night stuff, but like those two things of they're not making enough money. The community influence isn't there like that. But when it does get there, it always turns back to, hey, you guys are breaking the law because you don't meet this already established business entity structure. The LLCs, the S corps, the C corps thing. No, if we really want DAOs to actually work, they need to have their own business entity designation. I don't know how realistic that's going to be, but I would imagine the first nation state with sizable influence to like do it, and then that cat gets out the bag, it's gonna be a whole new day for DAOs, right? But if that doesn't happen, I can also see where 10, 15, 20 years down the road, those of us who remember DAOs from 2019 and 2020, we're going to be looking at the mainstream product that's probably going to be named something else, and it'll be pushed under like Fidelity or Charles Schwab or, JP Morgan, is going to be nothing like what we remembered back in 2020, back in 2019. Why? Because at the grassroots part of it, the community wasn't effective enough to get legislation that recognized and created a new business entity that was in line with how a DAO is supposed to work at core. That's the two ways I see this thing going. Either we're going to get that legislation to like proliferate that business model, that entity, that setup, or it'll be co-opted in like 10 years and it's going to be another switcheroo, product pushed out to the public for mainstream adoption, and they're going to tell y'all it's the newest, greatest thing since sliced bread, just like what they're doing now with some of this crypto stuff. That's at least my thought. Again, what does it's his number one priority mean? I highly doubt DAOs are on his list. And in my mind, it would probably more be in line with what's going on with the stablecoin stuff and the Genius Act. But time will tell what he does and like how he moves forward with it. And I guess, time will tell. We will see. Other one. So over on the Twitter side, I did post for tonight that also did the clickbait with Hester Pierce, but then I also threw this thing out about Adrian Harris. And at first I was like, well, who the hell is Adrian Harris? And all right, let's open this up. Come on. Where are you, Adrian Harris? This is Adrian Harris, who at this particular moment does not look too happy with her job or happy with whatever press conference thing she was at. And so apparently she was the head person for the so it says U.S. top regulator Adrian Harris resigns. This title is actually misleading. When you actually look into the article, she's the head regulator for the New York State Department's financial services. Okay. She's not at the federal level. But the way is a clickbait title. Hey, clickbait around, right? But the way they titled it, it makes you think, oh, some federal person resigned. No, she's at the state level. She's for New York State. She was with the guy who made the crypto regulations for setting up ICOs and stuff in New York State. She was in that guy's era of time. Now, I'm like, all right, well, what does this mean? Like, why are we noticing this, or why are we bringing this to attention? And I forgot the name of the person that they said would be behind her, but apparently it's still a question in the air on whether she'll be like more friendly to crypto, which I don't see, considering the governor and her whole thing and how she's been operating. But with this, here's where I'm at. The way the timeline is for this is like, oh, she just made the announcement today. Now, there have been other regulators at the state level, at the federal level, who like, oh yeah, this person's going to resign in 30 days and 60 days, but they need to be here for the transition team person to be a part of the transition team, and so we have a smooth crossover. And nah, dog, nah. This is being put out today. She's done in October, like October 1. It might stretch to October 15, Who knows if it makes it to October 30th, but October, she's done. Which means this conversation might have took place as far as like, hey, either she says she wants to go or those above were like, hey, we about to move in this next direction and either here's how you got to tow it or we don't think you're going to be the right face for what we about to go do. Which then brings up the question, if she's the person out, what is New York about to get into with these stable coins? What is New York about to get into with these stable coins? Because it's one of two things in my mind. Again, you don't have to agree with me. Either the word came down, they're about to make certain moves for New York as it relates to the stable coins, thanks to the Genius Act, and she wasn't the right fit for the direction that they was about to go with, or they told her what was up and she was like, nah, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm good. Or maybe she might have some medical stuff going on. Who knows? I don't know nothing. I'm just reading these. I'm reading these Twitter posts, y'all. And I'm not even deep diving. I'm not like cross-referencing stuff with Reddit or trying to find news articles and stuff like that. I'm not. No cap. It's just I see it, I read a caption, I might go through the thread a little bit. It scratches my brain a little bit, it scratches my brain a lot, and then I throw it out to y'all. And you know, we see how it plays out as the days move forward. Is it that New York is about to start making some moves or allow businesses like trade fi businesses and non-bank businesses entities to start doing some things? Is this the setup? I don't know. Let me scroll down a little bit because it one of these posts say the name of who her replacement is. Yes. Okay. Again, I told y'all I'm not a fan of that dominance talk about the nationalism stuff. Where's it? I seen one of these posts that literally had the name of the person. Is it this guy? Okay. The signal and the regulatory reset. Next. I think this guy sees some of the smoke in the air. Where's it? I literally seen this earlier. They showed the name of somebody had the name of the person. There we go. This lady right here. Caitlin Askro, former Federal Reserve employee. She's gonna be the next person in. I'm just I don't like, you know how, okay, you'd be like, all right, 1 + 1 = 2. Arguably, this is 1 + 1 = 2. And that New York is about to make some moves on the stablecoin front. They're about to let some things happen in that playground. Just saying. That was another thing. Like, so there, shout outs to Catherine Johnson of Storage. If you don't know about Storage, it's like decentralized cloud storage, and it was put together originally by a pretty smart individual who put it together when he was in college. What's his name? Justin. I never met Justin. But nonetheless, smart dude. He put it together, started it when he was in college, like one of the older heads in the space too. And now I met Catherine. I don't remember how long ago it was, but I met her through somebody else. Nonetheless, we were having a whole bunch of different conversations about some of the things that I think with the stable coins and like some of the things I think with more political side stuff. But why did I bring her up just now? Yeah, so stablecoin in terms of, oh, we're gonna get to him in a minute. Stablecoins in terms of the level of shenanigans that are about to, like, I feel like multiple things are being put on the playing field, and it's like there's so many things to look at, you don't know which thing to focus in on, and then you have to kind of go like, well, maybe this is connected to that, or like how connected is this to that? Case in point, how connected is the New York State regulator head honcho person resigning from their position, and then a Federal Reserve person is about to take over their position as we just get the Genius Act passed, which is encouraging the proliferation of stable coins by not only the top stablecoin companies in the game right now, which is Tether and USDC, right? That's Circle. Tether is USDT, but it also is allowing for other TradeFi entities to get in the stablecoin market, and they will have a peg value of 1-to-1 with a treasury T-bond note, like, or treasury, right? So it's just like, am I reaching? Is this too much? Am I over here with my tinfoil hat? Like, y'all tell me, am I going too much on this right now? And I didn't even know about this part with the New York State person. But I was talking to her just in general of like, we saw in the C-19 era that the federal government allowed non-bank entities to do financial things like issuing money, making out loans, collecting on loans. Like, it was some craziness going on when you really talk to some of the like finance folks about what was going on during COVID, right? So you have things like that, and it's like, well, we saw, again, make this point that we've seen this movie in regards to what it looks like in TradeFi when you have interbank lending, and none of the banks really trust each other, and if one bank messes up, then the other bank is messed up because of X amount of interbank lending and like the rehypothecation thing, and then we see that no one gets held accountable. We just, do quantitative easing by pushing money into the system, or we do quantitative tightening by pulling the money out of the system. And then on the crypto side, we seeing the same thing. Like, we saw how it played out when we had inter-exchange lending and interbank lending, and we saw how it played out with the rehypothecation of the crypto and the stable coins, and lo and behold, we're now about to let TradeFi take the the blockchain technology via stablecoins, and then put that on scale at the national level. Like, we've already seen the movie. We know what the pattern of behavior is for financial gurus, for financial engineering. It's to extract as much value as they can. And once the systems start messing up, everything is a hot potato, and nobody's actually going to get held accountable or go to jail, but like somebody who doesn't really matter in the grand scheme. That's at least how it's looked to me in the past. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. Because remember, even if y'all want to be like, oh, yeah, but what's his name from FTX? He's in prison. Yo, everything that he did wrong with his team of folks was already against the law. They had nothing to do with crypto aside from the fact that they were flipping things over into crypto. But like, all of the stuff they did was already against the law. We didn't need no new legislation around what he did. Irony of. And Jon Stewart does a really good breakdown of the Bernie Madoff business model and how it looks eerily similar to the Robinhood business model. You can definitely YouTube the shit out of that one. Okay, because there's a couple other people who like break it down and explain it too. I think that we're gonna see the same level of shenanigans, but folks are gonna get left out holding the bag in like a whole different way. And then like for the folks who aren't like, oh, I have, a crypto wallet, or like I have this token or whatever. For the people who are really just like, oh, I'm not involved in crypto anything. I don't do the blockchain stuff. I don't do the digital money thing. They're still going to be affected. Like, that's the crazy part that no one's really addressing. Even if you don't have a wallet, even if you don't do nothing nowhere near, you ain't on Cash App, like none of it, you're still going to be affected, because it's dealing with the treasury bonds, which relate to, I forget which one of the M's. It's like, I don't remember if it's like M3 or M2 or whatever. But then you get into the whole thing of how it relates to the interest rates at that higher, like, government level stuff, and then how that plays out into the regular residential rates as far as like home loans and car loan rates. And then to look at it where you have like MetaMask. Y'all saw, I was kind of annoyed to see that MetaMask is coming up with their own version of a stable coin, right? And then PayPal, they're calling it a different, but it's a stable coin. They're using it to deal with the slippage, right? So you have it that you have either you're in the fortune, if you got a pension or like something that's invested in Wall Street on your behalf, you're exposed. You're exposed. Coinbase is on the Fortune 500. If you're doing something where you invested in the PayPal, guess what? You exposed. And then because eventually PayPal's token is going to make it on exchanges, if something happens on an exchange, it ripples back to PayPal. You invested in PayPal. Like, the levels of deviation, you might be 2 levels away, you might be 3 levels away, you might be 5 levels away, you might be 1 level away, you might be 0 levels away, just because, hey, I use PayPal. Even if you don't use the crypto quote side of PayPal, something happens on the crypto side, it's going to mess with the traditional USD side. Like, the level of exposure that's being pushed out to the masses is crazy to me. And the other part that kind of blows it is like, in the concept of financial freedom or economic sovereignty, like, it would be, hey, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want exposure to that. Okay, cool. Then, do what you do with your money. But because of how everything is working to be so intermingled in terms of what the different financial institutions are doing, what the non-financial institutions are doing, what the governments are doing, it's that you don't have the option to partition yourself off from that. Like I said, if you're doing a pension plan, if you're doing some ETFs, if you're doing anything on the stock side, you are now exposed. You are now exposed. But yeah, such is life, huh? Such is life. Or at least this modern life, or this USA life. I don't know. Other thing I seen is this one here with Brian Armstrong. Again, they're on the Fortune 500 now. So even if you have no idea of what a Bitcoin is from a piece of lint in the back of the drawer, you're exposed. If you're a teacher and your pension thing is based on Fortune 500, you in on this. If you're in construction work, you're in on this. If you're any kind of union joint, that's doing a pension thing and they touching Fortune 500, you in on this. So in short of it, for this particular clip right here, he talks about how, you know, they got the Genius Act through, but now they have people kind of trying to he frames it as TradeFi is trying to work against them for getting more regulatory clarity in the crypto space, and in particular they're what's the thing, they're lobbying against getting not incentive but gains from like stable coins. Again, like, I don't know, might just be me, but it seems like pieces are being moved into play on this chessboard to make like the stablecoin thing look crazy. And I was telling Catherine and I was telling Naja too, I was like, watch, like the stablecoins is gonna go through the same thing the ICO phase went through. It's gonna do that whole like just swelling up scale level, and then it'll go through its culling. But between the swelling up of the scale or at scale and then the culling, a number of people, the everyday Joe people, are going to get ruined. You're going to have the quote legitimate businesses that go through the process, get approved, get their treasuries, do their rehypothecation, and then you're going to have the scammers who are going to do the mirror shadowing stuff of like, oh, the name is a little bit similar. Oh, the website looks this way. Oh, I seen that person on this podcast or whatever. Like, and people are going to get got. And people are going to get got. Yeah. And don't forget, word is that he's done the fellowship pack with the Winklevoss twins, right? It's a super PAC that is looking to promote the candidates who are looking to be crypto friendly, legislative levels as far as the state and federal stuff. And I don't think they're going to be the only one. I think there's going to be other super PACs. And I still got to look into the company that I heard is kind of behind that whole situation. But it's about to get spicy out here come midterms, y'all. I hope y'all are ready. I hope y'all are ready. What was this other one? Oh, so CZ. All right. So which was the one that actually caught my attention? All right. So CZ goes, and I didn't realize it's already been a year since CZ been out. It's already been a year. Right? So he been home doing what he doing, not being the head of Binance anymore, but I know he's still making some gains off of that past relation. So he goes, what a year since then. We saw the people of the US choosing pro crypto president and government, influencing policies all around the world. That's interesting that he tried to like make that connection between the two things. Again, that nationalism, not a fan of it. We saw that Binance reaching all-time high after all-time high, which is true. Binance is, from what I heard, been going up. We see BTC reaching all-time high. We've even seen ETH reaching all-time high. We see many more developers on the BNC chain and in the larger crypto ecosystem, which I've also been hearing things about that. Yo, shout outs to my man Michael Abraha. I might be saying his last name wrong. He out here doing his thing, man. Like, he's out here building these international networks. He's air trained Ethiopian, and your man is out here building these international networks, man. If you know him, you know he a good dude, and he about that network. He about that building the community. He's about that trying to help his people in a positive way. I ain't gonna tell all the tea on his stuff, but he out here building the networks. He doing what he do. If I'm okay, I'll throw this out. If you are a person of the international travel type and you have the opportunity to do some networking in the various African continents, such as Zimbabwe or Kenya or Nigeria or Botswana or Cape d'Ivoire, Um, if you can make some of those conferences out there, you can get with those Binance folks, or you can bring those Binance folks in, it might work out for you. Again, not financial advice, just some of the things I be hearing in my conversations that I had at the Black Blockchain Summit, whether I was in like the main area or I was in like the hallway con or like, the back room conversations. And not the back room, like it was a, smoke filled room, but like where they have like the speakers and stuff sit and stuff like that. So I was over there talking with folks. And yeah, man, like it's what am I saying? It is a pleasure to have attended the event, made it to the 8th year, and like see how folks who came in year 1, who came in year 3, have grown and developed and like matured in their space, and like they doing things that's like, wow, like I ain't even see that on the radar for you. But damn, like that's dope. I really am like amazed and inspired to see how some folks have grown, and just like the level of persistence too, because even in the Reggie situation, and I've said it before, like he made the point one time about like, could you do this thing where you push on when you're not getting no accolades, when you getting the crazy level of hate, where people are putting your family members in situations. Like, could you have that resilience and the perseverance to go through all of that, and then year for year, just like, all right, I got the vision, but like nobody's believing me, except for like a handful of close folks, but nobody's believing me, and my family's being stressed by this. That's not an everybody thing, It really isn't. But shout outs to that man for persevering, right? So where was the other thing? Yeah. So we saw US SEC reversing its course of regulatory regulation by enforcement under new leadership. We saw the return of the utility tokens. We see more trading volume on chain. We see more decentralization. We saw Giggle Academy reaching 50,000 kids and growing for free education. Thank you for your support. And let's continue to build together. All right. So interesting, right? I didn't know about the Giggle Academy thing. So that's interesting. In general, I'm gonna say that's a good thing. This line here that caught my attention, because I literally said this to somebody. I forget who I said it to, but I was like, yo, I think it's kind of weird that there's these little blurb announcements when the SEC goes back on one of its crypto cases. And in my mind, and shout outs to King, because I don't remember if it was either early this year. It might have been early this year. It couldn't have been last year, because I wasn't doing content last year, and I wasn't like I was definitely burnt and tapped out. So it had to be this year that he said something. I forget whose story it was, that somebody got like a reverse decision, and he was like, all right, so like what's up with Reggie? Other thing to know is Reggie suing the SEC, and he went up to talk to Hester Pierce. And she was like, well, if you have any issues, my office is open, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't supposed to talk to her because he's in a current legal litigation situation with the SEC. That man is hilarious. I sat back and watched it and was like, huh, okay, interesting. All right. She recognized him. So that was another interesting thing to know. But then my point, shout outs to King, because King said it first and threw it out there. And then, like it's been little here and there announcements or like news articles, but they're like quick, short blurbs. Like there's no real breakdown, and there's no real like explanation on why they reversed the decision, and I said to somebody, I was like, yo, like, I think they're picking and choosing who they do the reversals with, and they're only letting the folks who are going to toe the line get the reversals. And I think by now there's probably been like 3 to 4 that have happened. I cannot remember them right now, but I know specifically it was a earlier year part of the year. King covered the story and was like, "Huh, that's interesting. Like, why y'all just pick these folks? Like, what that got to do with anything?" Cuz like, is Odyssey going to get a reversal? Is Reggie going to get a reversal? Is the dude who was behind Ether Delta going to get a reversal? Who remembers Ether Delta? The website's domain is up and is like, I think it's above 50K for the website now. The website domain is like 50K. I think it was like 50K. But nonetheless, like, this line right here definitely has me. Like, okay. Now, granted, he's not indicating the level of, like, conspiracy or I don't want to say indignation, but his line is definitely more lighthearted than what I'm inferencing. Okay, that's for sure. But to the overall of it, I'm just gonna say time will tell. Time will tell. What this boils down to, and if I was just way the hell off, and the SEC isn't picking and choosing who it does the reversals with and allows those folks to like come back in and proliferate in the space. And then, you're going to look at it and be like, oh, wait, but isn't that the same thing that y'all got in trouble for? Like, now that business model's cool? Oh, now that such and such is doing it is cool? That's what I think is about to happen. I think that there will be a number of businesses that get their reversals, and they'll, how am I saying this? They will basically fall in line with the regulatory stuff. So like for, folks trying to be super, super radical, which is part of why I don't think Reggie's going to get the recognition or the reversal the way that the other folks are going to get it. Like, he might get like an apology of some sort or a dismissal, but like, he's not going to get any of the attention. And if you also know, you don't see those platforms, those companies, like, being super loud about getting the reversal or like giving detail to like how the decision came to be or like what happened. It's just like, oh yeah, that did happen, or like nothing at all. I don't think Reggie's gonna get that kind of grace. But I think when we look at this, like, towards the end of 2027, 2028, going into the next administration, like, we're going to see companies coming out here doing things. It's like, wait a minute, wasn't there a company like that in 2017 or like 2016 that did da 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 da? Oh yeah, wasn't there a company in 2022 that was doing X, Y, and Z? And oh yeah, that's those same folks. Like, but time will tell how really right I am or how really super wrong I am. I understand that part of it, and I'm okay with it. Let me jump into this last thing so I can then get out of here. Um, uh, there you go. So, photo 2022, new photo coming soon. So your boy is not supposed to be doing stuff for Binance, but guess what? Kazakhstan buys BNB. It's about to be a crypto reserve for Kazakhstan. I said it before, man. Like, well, no, I was kind of wrong. I thought they were being slowly. No, the U.S. arm, I think, was being slowly choked out for Binance. The international arm, which made more sense for what they were doing, like towards, well, when CZ got in, like when he got moved out of the CEO position and arrested and all that stuff, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is gonna be bad for them. But if you look at what's going on, nobody really talks about the American arm of Binance. Everything is really happening on the international original part of the company. And yeah, Kazakhstan is about to put BNB as part of its crypto reserve. I don't know what that's gonna do for those of y'all who hold it, but I guess hopefully it work out. Assuming that Kazakhstan don't get put on the no-no list by Trump. Heaven knows what that'll do. But yeah, this is the space that we're in. Like, we got things happening, and some things look good on face front, some things look bad on the face front. Some things look like they are gonna be horrible dumpster fires in a couple of months or a couple of years, and some things look like they're gonna be the paved golden road to the Wizard of Oz, and it's gonna get us back to like where we need to be. But time will tell. Either way, time will tell. Again, recently this past weekend was the Black Blockchain Summit. I got to run into a number of folks that I haven't seen face to face in a while. Shout outs to CJ, shout outs to Justin, shout outs to Reggie, to Naja, to Catherine, to Clev Mesador. She out here just painting the town red. Every time I turn around and look at her LinkedIn, she at some crypto or legislative crypto event. She out there just running every which way. And definitely shout out to the people that I got to meet new wise. Ben Julius, good to meet you. Definitely gonna look to have that coffee and like catch up and talk and stuff. Ms. Aaron, definitely gonna dig into the stuff that you were talking about with me, and at some point I'll bring that up to y'all down the road. Who else? Oh, the engineer that took the time to talk to me and ask me questions. Like, I appreciate, what is her name? Tamatea something something. I can't remember the last name right now, but appreciate her charisma. Um, Graduate from Howard University. Definitely appreciated our interaction. And I'm saying these names of people like y'all know who they are, but I don't know. Maybe one day they might listen to this and be like, oh wow, he actually said something nice. Like, just putting the positive vibes out there. Nonetheless, we'll close this out. And yeah, this is all I got for y'all today. Again, some of this stuff I could be hella wrong on. Hella wrong. And I'm not saying this to y'all to be like, hey, it don't mean that y'all can't do your own due diligence and like figure out how to, be in a better position with your information or the things that you're actually putting your energy and effort into, as well as your hard-earned money. Pardon me. Damn. One thing about, I never catch myself in this with how the talking goes for this, but nonetheless, I could be way wrong. I'm just some guy on the internet. I'm not a financial advisor. I just happen to like be in that unk status thing for this crypto space. I've been around for a bit and I've seen how things have developed, matured, fell back, cycled, and it is what it is, right? It's a part of this new era, this new wave, this new age, this new implementation of this technology into the society, right? And us figuring out like what are we going to be happy with or stick to for the use cases. And that is all I got for y'all tonight. Aside from that, I do hope that y'all had a good weekend. I hope that your Monday was productive. If you had a birthday in September, happy birthday to you. Happy belated birthday to you. If your birthday's today or tomorrow, happy birthday. Um, And other than that, y'all, like that's all I got. That is all I got. And as I say though, the best that I can wish to you from one human to the next is that you are in a safe place, in a safe space with good company, and that, you know, life is working out. No, and for those who don't know, I be saying that because honestly, like it don't be like a week that passed that I don't hear some situation about somebody lifing, and you know, sometimes you gotta like remind folks to like check in on people as well as just like, hey, you're not the only one. Don't feel isolated. Because when I tell you some of the stories that I like, oh man, I heard the most wildest story over the weekend. That's definitely one of the up there ones. And it took me back to when I used to work in East New York and work with kids. And I was like, yeah, that just, I don't even know which way to turn on that one. But just trying to be out here pushing positive vibes, man. And hopefully, you know, people finding better ways. And if I could somehow help and push, you know, that positivity, hopefully something I do works, something I say works. But anywho, that's it. That's all I got. I'm over here rambling. Y'all know what it is. I'm Trek with 2Ks.